Talent, audacious stroke play, big hitting abilities and flamboyance. Now, when I think of Australian cricketer Glenn Maxwell, these are some of the words that definitely come to mind. But recently, he has been associated with cursed Adelaide trips. Maxwell's trips to Adelaide have not been a major highlight for his cricket career. He was recently in the news after being hospitalised in Adelaide. It happened because Maxwell passed out after a late-night party at a pub. The news was reported widely across all media. Maxwell was not reprimanded for this because that week he was off duty. Still, a drunken night out doesn't reflect well on an international athlete. You only have to ask English footballer Marcus Rashford, who got an earful from the Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag. Maxwell too received a lot of flack from former Australian cricketers and captains and even the coaching staff of the current setup. But there's a difference here. Unlike Rashford, Maxwell didn't lie about his night out. Well, how could he? He was passed out, fainted and had to be rushed to a hospital. So no way a lie would have been possible, but even so, the media would have caught him in the act. The news gathered a lot of attention. Cricket Australia, of course, had to get involved. Strict action was required. Aussie coach Andrew McDonald issued a statement on the matter.
I've spoken to Glenn, had a good chat with him around the incidents. Him looking after himself needs to be a consideration moving forward. We have given him the opportunity to rest and rehab in that period of time. And I suppose the lesson for him around that would be to take his end of the bargain in that space and take care of himself.
We all remember this statement, but there is one thing about Glenn Maxwell that really sets him apart. Whenever he's put under dubious situations like these, he tends to come back stronger. After that Adelaide fiasco, a strong statement was needed from Maxwell. Not a verbal one. He had to first prove his place in the Aussie setup, and he did that. Glenn Maxwell hit his 5th T20 International 100 on Sunday at the Adelaide Oval. He smashed 120 runs off just 55 deliveries against West Indies in the second T20 International in an innings where he hit 12 fours and 8 sixes. He's now level with Indian skipper Rohit Sharma at the top of the men's T20 centurions list with 5. He certainly made a strong statement with that knock. Earlier I mentioned that Maxwell's Adelaide trips have often been cursed. Yes, that night out fiasco is not the only one where Maxwell has let loose in that city. He broke his leg again while partying with his friends in the very same city. The incident took place right after Australia's 2022 World Cup campaign. Maxwell, right after that careless episode, came back strongly. He recovered before the Indian Premier League 2023 season and had a memorable year with the Bengaluru franchise. But it's more than just about the city, isn't it? Max has a way of getting into these situations that makes it seem like he doesn't care all too much when he's outside the cricket field. He fell off a golf cart during the ODI World Cup in India last year, missed a game. What does he do thereafter? Comes back with a manic double ton in a must-win encounter to beat Afghanistan. It's insane and almost crazy that the two completely opposite characteristics coexist and deliver time and again with just the same amount of fervour. Whether it's indisciplinary, questionable actions off the field or heroic, unbelievable performances on it. Of the many unforgettable instances, Maxwell would certainly remember this one. But despite the 100, Maxwell couldn't stop thinking about it all. After scoring the ton, he finally broke his silence on the matter.
I think probably it affected my family a little bit more than it affected me. I knew I had that week off, and obviously that incident was less than ideal, and the timing. I knew I had that week off away from the game. I came back and got back into my running, my gym program, and it felt really good and refreshed once I got back. And it's all been focused on getting myself ready for the series against West Indies and what's to come.
The remorse is there, and somewhere you realize Cricket Australia too is doing its best to handle him with kid gloves. He clearly is an asset that has the weird habit of getting himself into these sticky situations. In such a short span, Maxwell has been involved in many injury scares already, and somewhere he senses now that he will have to hold up his end of the bargain to continue playing at the highest level and delivering for his country, his side. Because the rope, however long, will eventually run out. Maxwell will have to ask himself, irrespective of his incredible performances, how long will the board stick by him? If the indiscipline continues, will the board continue to back him? Australia has had their fair share of superstars who have been unruly. And maybe they would want to set an example of intolerance with Glenn Maxwell. He's off the hook this time, and with a World Cup around the corner, he knows that he's on very, very shaky ground.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.